I'm just a couple weeks away of finishing my first year at Cal Poly. I've gained a lot of insight on ways to be successful within my academic career and even throughout my daily life. Whether it be how we are taught to study or just merely how we get around in our everyday life, there are a lot of factors that affect that. I would just like to ask a quick question. Throughout your guys' time at Cal Poly, have you guys had or been called to have a participation grade within your classes? Yeah, awesome. And then just another quick one, have any of you guys ever been required to download an application on the device to track their participation through that classroom? We've gotten some no, some yes. So I'd love to inform you guys on some of these ways. Just by going to class, participating, and analyzing certain teaching methods, I've been able to see how a class of 150 students must be managed and taught a lot differently than a class of just 30 students. I've been able to discover how the class size effect has had a huge impact on my personal experience and my educational experience. It's just like if you sat down with a 1,000-piece puzzle by yourself, it might take a couple days. But if you had a couple people sitting around the table with you, you might be able to finish it in just a couple hours. It is known that some people may enjoy a more lecture-based class, but I would love to depict some of the reasons why universities should encourage smaller classes that support a more prominent learning experience. All around the world, young children start their education from a young age, and it's normally guided through an parent-teacher that is followed by a lot of cooperation through the classroom. All of this correlates to a college experience because teachers call the students to participate a lot and grow that bonding and interactive experience. According to the United States Labor Union, the average professor in 2017 made around $93,000. Teachers nowadays are called a lot to do in the educational system. They're supposed to create an interactive experience as well as an enjoyable experience for these young adults learning the trades for their given major. There's a preconceived idea that students are called to come to class, listen to their teacher, take down lecture notes, go to home, do homework, and then have a couple tests throughout the semester or quarter. I think as time is evolving, we're beginning to realize that through these class sizes and through what the teacher is doing, there are some more effective ways of teaching rather than just students copying down what professors are saying. In a specific study conducted by Catherine M.K., she observed and was comparing larger and smaller classes, and she concluded that cooperative learning is regarded as the most important element in active teaching, and a small group cooperative work during teaching sessions has been recommended. A lot of this can be helpful for the teacher as well as the class, and there has to be a lot of give and take. If the teacher can give a lot of opportunity for the students, offer tutoring sessions, there's definitely a better place to seek help, and these are all encouraged through these smaller class sizes, and it can't necessarily be done in these larger classes. I'd just like to bring a little bit into perspective. As you can see, since 1968, it has been getting increasingly more expensive to go here, and there's definitely still a budget within the university, whether how we spend our money and where all the money goes to. Also, as you can see, families who make over $75,000 choose to go to public institutions rather than private just because it's necessarily more a viable option. But then in doing so, the resources might not always necessarily be available for everyone. Through this, every professor with the resources available, they have to put their own spin on teaching, and it's definitely easier to enhance smaller class sizes rather than larger ones just because there's a lot more factors that go into it. In smaller classes, students definitely don't have the ability to show up as unprepared in larger classes just because they know that it's definitely a viable option that they may get called on. Teachers have a hard time portraying certain content in larger classes, and people are more inclined to go to office hours just because they can't pinpoint the occasions where people have questions, and it's just easier to do in smaller classes. A lot of professors, through participation, are called for their students to download an app on their device. And as a student, I've just been able to tell how through these, oftentimes, students are very prevalent to go through their tabs and doing assignments for different classes while multitasking and just not giving their utmost attention to the professor. In a study, Eric Reagan and his team studied computer and equipment manufacturing and did studies at the college level. For larger classes and unmonitored classes, they found that 2/3 of students, sometime throughout classes that were 50 minutes to 130 minutes, were multitasking and not necessarily giving their attention to the teacher. As time is going forward and technology is evolving, we need to root back to the more hands-on situations and more of the fundamental ways that we were taught, rather than looking at the screen. Professor M. Dillon conducted a study on a more hands-on way of teaching and concluded that smaller classroom environments enhance a more wide-ranging, non-formula-based knowledge necessary for these macroeconomic principles. And that was for that class, but across the board it will show that in these smaller groups, if you can have people within the same age have these academic opinions, there's just a lot more insight to be gained compared to those larger classes where it's hard to regulate that participation. And as students at Cal Poly, I think we all understand the saying, learn by doing. And if we don't necessarily do something right at first, I think it's cool to work in that group and kind of create that innovative mindset to go through your mistakes and find a better way to do so. My final citation was from two doctors, Chapman and Ludlow, who contain PhDs, and they did specific tests on learning behaviors when they started at a young age to the higher education. They were able to find that when comparing the classes from class size from 15 to 25 and 25 to 40, that the smaller class size had a higher GPA and that they had a lot more feedback throughout the classroom. A lot of students also gave input on the fact that they felt that there was a lot more respectable manner throughout the classroom, and just at this collegiate level, it was going well. They later concluded also at this rate in the larger classes that if they continued to do so, that the value of the collegiate degree would dwindle. And if this paradigm shift continues, it definitely would be going in the opposite direction that we wanted to. Do not get me wrong in any way that there is a lot of success in the university system, but I think it would be important to look at these benefits that do come along with smaller class sizes. As I'm concluding my first year at Cal Poly, I'm getting close, or I'm being able to find ways that I've been able to boost my academic career in the positive direction, and I want to continuously put myself in those situations to do so. I believe that the best way for a university to enhance smaller class sizes with the resources given, and that is, granted, we do pay a lot to go here, is just to offer a wider range of classes that offer more hands-on activities. A lot of these hands-on activities will encourage a lot more group work, and even maybe with certain cutbacks, we can look at the budget and see that where we can decipher teachers just to encourage those smaller class sizes. I do think, too, if we can get the word out more and show that there are a lot of benefits that do come with these smaller class sizes, hopefully the public can jump on board. And if we have this public can jump on board and can recognize this issue, maybe we can reevaluate the system when registration comes around in the fall. Thank you.
Quick comment from the team and teammates for Justin.
I thought your visuals were very compelling and it helped enhance your argument and made it
Our elector topic, because I totally agree with everything you're saying.
Cool.
Interestingly, oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that I agree that the topic is relevant to us, so that's why I cared about it.
Interestingly enough, when the recession was going on, they actually were talking about breaking down walls so they can have bigger classes so that they can it was ridiculous. It was just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We gotta go.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay.
You're on.
You really come to play, really. It's not bad. Just even in the raw video. Yeah, it's like,
Okay, let's do it.